Ever wished you could just, like, understand anything? In any language, like
Wow.
having a universal translator right in your brain. Well, get this. Today, we're diving into some seriously cool tech. It's getting us closer to that. Yeah, no kidding. We're taking a deep dive, get this, into immersive automatic translation. The goal is, like, no more language barriers, period. We're going off an article called Pasted Text. It breaks down this new feature in the Disqus Kit platform.
Yeah, it's really interesting how they're approaching this whole translation thing. The idea is like you can absorb info in any language without even realizing it's being translated, like magic almost.
Sounds kind of like Star Trek, right? So what exactly IPEN immersive auto translation?
Imagine this. You're on a web page and boom, everything's in your language, just like that. No clicking around, no pop-ups, just a smooth, uninterrupted flow.
Okay, that sounds pretty amazing. Because let's be real, those clunky translate buttons, ugh. Total pain. And don't even get me started on those pop-ups. You get lost, the sentences are all jumbled up, it's a mess.
Yeah, for sure. Traditional translation methods are the worst. They really kill the vibe. You lose track of what you're reading, the context gets all messed up, and it's just so inefficient.
So how does immersive translation fix all that? What makes it so different?
It's all about being automatic and seamless, really. The system uses this AIGNE AI platform. It figures out what language you need and then bam, translates the text right there on the page, all in the background, so you don't have to do a thing.
No more clicking a million buttons, I'm already sold.
Yeah.
But how does it make sure the translation is, actually good and consistent, especially with longer pieces?
That's where the smart part comes in. It's not just swapping words one for one, get this. AIGNE uses a professionally built glossary. It makes sure the translated text is top-notch, captures the original meaning and all that.
So it's like having a pro-human translator working behind the scenes, kind of.
Yeah, in a way. It's using human know-how and all that linguistic stuff to give you a much better translation than those old-school machine translation things we're used to.
Wow, impressive. Okay, let's get practical here. Where exactly in Disqus Kit can you use this immersive translation thing? Is it just for certain parts of the platform?
Nope, it's everywhere. Posts, comments, private chats, group chats, you name it. Even real-time messaging. The whole platform's covered.
So no matter where you are in Disqus Kit, you're good to go. That's pretty comprehensive. What about, like, controlling how the translation looks? Can you customize it at all?
Oh yeah, you've got options. You can see the translated text side by side with the original, which is great if you're learning a language. Or you can just see the translated text for a cleaner look. And of course, you can always turn the auto translation on or off, whatever you prefer.
Cool, cool. Hold on, so you're saying I could have, like, a whole conversation translated in real time, even if people are chatting in different languages? That's, like, seriously impressive stuff.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Imagine a global forum where everyone just gets each other, no matter what language they speak. That's the kind of future this tech is making possible, you know?
It's exciting stuff, for sure. But okay, back up a sec. How does this automatic language contection actually work? Can it, like, really recognize all languages accurately?
They've made it pretty darn robust. It just figures out the language of the content and then translates it for you into whatever language you've set as your preference, of course.
Gotcha. So, like, if I'm bilingual, I could switch back and forth depending on what I'm looking at.
Exactly. And from what I read, it handles a lot of languages. I'm sure there are some less common ones they're still working on, though.
Makes sense. It's going to be a work in progress, right? What about speed? Some of those translation tools I've used in the past, they were so slow. Is immersive translation like that too?
Nah, not at all. They've got the smart caching system. It stores previous translations so they can be pulled up instantly the next time you need them.
So it's like learning and getting faster as it goes.
You got it. Efficiency and speed are key for that whole immersive thing, and they've definitely nailed those aspects.
Speaking of immersive, what about those tricky little nuances of language? The ones that usually get lost in translation, like idioms and cultural stuff. How does immersive translation handle those?
That's where the AIGNE AI really shines. Remember that professional glossary we talked about? That plays a big part in keeping things accurate and consistent. It's not just relying on algorithms to, like, guess at the meaning. They're using AI, yeah, but also human expertise, so you're getting high-quality translations every time.
It's like having a whole team of expert translators back there making sure everything is perfect.
Exactly. And they're using a dedicated AI agent just for translation, which is cool. It means they can keep making the system better and better over time as they collect more data and feedback and stuff.
Sounds like they've really thought this through. You mentioned before that you can choose to see the translated text alongside the original. Why would someone want to do that?
It's super helpful for language learners. Seeing both versions side by side lets you compare and contrast. You can pick up new vocab and deepen your understanding of both languages.
So it's like a language learning tool built right in. What about people who just want a clean, uninterrupted reading experience?
They can just choose to see the translated text only. It's
Okay.
much more immersive that way. You can just focus on the content without any distractions.
And you mentioned a hover feature.
Yeah, so if you're only seeing the translated text, you can hover over any word or phrase and see the original pop up underneath. It's like having a dictionary right there at your fingertips.
That's a really cool feature. So we've covered how it works, where you can use it, even the customization stuff. But what I'm really curious about is, like, the big picture. What kind of impact could this have on online communication in the future? This seems like a pretty big deal.
It's definitely a game changer. Imagine a world where everyone can access information, connect with people, collaborate on projects, all without language getting in the way. It's a pretty powerful idea.
That sounds like a utopian dream. But seriously, the possibilities are huge. Education, business, even global diplomacy. This could change everything about how we interact with each other on a global scale.
Absolutely. Students could learn from teachers and resources anywhere in the world. Businesses could break into new markets without language barriers holding them back. People from different cultures could connect and work together more easily. It could lead to more empathy and understanding between people.
Pretty mind-blowing to think about.
It is. But it's important to remember this is just the start.
Yeah.
The tech is still evolving, and there are challenges to overcome, but the potential is there to create a more connected and inclusive world.
Well said. And on that note, let's switch gears a bit and talk about how this immersive translation is being used in the Disqus Kit community. You mentioned they have a pretty active global community. What's the feedback been like so far?
Well, we'll get into that right after this.
Okay, so we're back and ready to hear about how people are actually using this immersive translation thing in the Disqus Kit community. It's one thing to talk tech specs, but I want to know how it's working in the real world.
Well, the article talks about how immersive translation has really changed the Disqus Kit community. It's become way more inclusive, a place where everyone can connect no matter what language they speak.
That's awesome. It must be pretty cool to see your work making a difference like that.
It is, yeah. And it goes beyond just the forums. Immersive translation is making all of ArcBlock's support stuff and documentation accessible to a much wider audience.
That's huge for accessibility. No more wrestling with tech jargon in another language.
Exactly. It opens up so many resources for people who might not have been able to access them before. Now, anyone can get involved with ArcBlock, no matter what language they speak.
That's really cool. I'm curious, since ArcBlock has a global development team, how does immersive translation fit into their workflow?
Funny you should ask, the article actually mentions that. Turns out they use immersive translation all the time for communication and collaboration within their team.
So they're using their own tech to build their tech.
Pretty much, yeah. It just shows how powerful and versatile this technology is.
For those of us who aren't on the ArcBlock team but are still, super into this immersive translation thing, is there a way we can get involved? Maybe even help shape how it develops?
Absolutely. Remember that bug bounty program we talked about? It's a great way for users to contribute. If you find any translation errors or have ideas for improvements, you can report them. You can even earn rewards for it.
It's like a community effort to, break down those language barriers for good.
Exactly. User feedback is so important for shaping how this tech evolves.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, what's the one thing you want listeners to remember about immersive translation?
I think the main takeaway is that this technology has the potential to change how we communicate and access information online. It's about creating a world where language is no longer a barrier to understanding, collaboration, and knowledge sharing.
It's about opening doors and building connections that wouldn't have been possible before.
Yeah, exactly. It's an exciting time for language tech.
It really is. And who knows what amazing things are coming next. So to our listeners, if you're curious about this tech and want to try it out, I encourage you to check out Disqus Kit and see immersive translation in action. Maybe you'll even help make it even better. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.